Well, hello. Welcome to the podcast. Um, I've got tonight not only a good friend, great Qigong fella. He's a fifth generation in the lineage of the Wu Yi Ji system, Chinese healing and martial arts. And it's Dr. Joe Baumgarden. He's a doctor of physical therapy, adjunct professor at Duval University, and just an all-around really nice guy, and very smart and very knowledgeable. He also does a lot of research, and of course, particularly we're focusing on qigong and even tai chi from research standpoint. So the science is backing up what we do. Now we've been to a couple of conferences. We were down at the Harvard, which is the Osher School, which is part of Harvard, and for the science of tai chi and qigong, it was a symposium. We were there. Joe, myself, and Professor Emeritus, Dr. Penny Klein, were also presented in, at Harvard it was. Wasn't it, Joe? Harvard, yeah.
Yes, Harvard.
Yeah, I presented at Duval University with the Dr. O and his organization. I presented in 2017 to the International Society of Integrated Oncology, along with Joe, Dr. Joe, and Dr. Penelope Klein, and a few others. So there you have it. We got some experience on here. I've been teaching Qigong for 30 years. I've done a cancer class for 18 years, then another 2 years through my own school. Great results. And we've got results in just about anything or everything. But let me ask you this. Here's the question I want to open with. When did you lose hope and settle for this is the way it is? I'll be on drugs the rest of my life. The surgery didn't work. I'm going to be staying with this. Nothing's getting better. I'm still on heart medication. The arthritis still hurts. I still can't sleep. I'm still suffering from depression, anxiety, and on and on and on it goes. And you just accept it. You lost hope. You didn't think that there's another way where you could actually reduce the symptoms or heal it completely. And we've got many, many different circumstances of people from rheumatoid arthritis, severe, and amazing results. We have people who had cancer that had 6 weeks to 6 months to live and lived well beyond 22, 23 years. We've had people that said your diagnosis is, oh, you got this thing and you might have Bell's palsy, you might have this, you might have that. Maybe you just want attention from your husband. And this is all documented. She had sarcoidosis. Now, most doctors may see a disease like sarcoidosis in a lifetime. We've already had two, just with the village, which is international. So anything is possible. Now, healing doesn't come from the outside. You are the source. So just to set this up, there's a system, allopathic medicine, which is a reductionist system. So you have all these different doctors. You go to the doctor. Now he's going to send you this specialist, maybe that specialist, and maybe this surgeon, and so on. So you're going all over the place, and you may get prescriptions from each doctor. But if you're going to a heart specialist, he doesn't deal with anything. He deals with the heart. That's his specialty. Check with all the other organs. You might understand. Or you go to a kidney specialist, ears, nose, and throat specialist. You're not looking at the heart. He's looking at these things. But what the reductionist system misunderstands or doesn't recognize that the entire body is a system. Everything is connected to everything else. And what you do in one part is going to affect the parts all the way through the entire body. What we do with this Qigong, by the way, the Qigong we do is 24 posture therapeutic Qigong. And it was published for treating disease and prolonging life. And it lists a number of diseases that has been benefits on it. It published the book that I have. So Joe's into the research of it. So I'm saying, okay, if you do these exercises, you do this breathing, you do this calmness, you relax, you open up the energy through the body. So that's going through the entire body. And then Joe, as a physical therapist or doctor thereof, has research. And the research says this Qigong is good for this, that, and the other thing, particularly with people who are aging, because we feel that we're old and we're going downhill. That's a choice. That's acceptance. That doesn't have to be that way. And that's what we do, is we help people heal and we help the aging live more, or actually, a biological life is different than a chronological life, the years. So we'll touch on that. I hope Joe touched that. So Joe,
Hello.
let's go. So,
Yes.
you've done a lot of research on this. We've done it together. We've done
Yes.
a number of these things together in past in different formats. You had a list of, particularly for seniors, a list of a number of things that they've done research on.
Yes.
Enlighten us.
So, I mean, there's certain things where I think you just mentioned it, where, growing old is you're going to get those years behind you, but you don't want necessarily have to get the physical things that come along with it. There's a number of conditions that are attributed to old age. However, many of these things are not inevitable, such as balance and falls. That's one of the number one things facing seniors that your balance starts to decrease as you get older, or your posture starts to change. Or your muscles start to get weaker, your flexibility starts to decrease, and your joints become stiffer. A lot of these things are not inevitable. I think they're, like you said, people just kind of accept the fact that, well, it's just part of old age. This is just how it happens. This is just what it is. But science is showing time and time again that regular exercise, including Tai Chi and Qigong, can help either slow down these effects or prevent them altogether, or even in some cases reverse the effects. Even things like cognition have been shown to improve with the practice of Qigong and Tai Chi in people who are quote unquote healthy and those with cognitive impairments.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, actually, just finishing up a balance book that we've actually put together. That'll be out soon. But if you take a look, most seniors that we deal with have accepted the fact, they have accepted whatever fate that they're in.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter what the illness is. And what we've proven over and over and over again, doesn't matter whether it's arthritis or backs
No.
or more major diseases, Alzheimer's disease, dementia. This helps that also, and there's research on that. So aging is, and most important thing about aging, well, there's two. One, by doing Qigong, you extend your life.
Mhm.
And that's just science. And that has to do with a thing called telomeres. You want to talk about that, Joe?
Oh,
Telomere,
yes.
telomere age?
So they've done a number of studies through the practice of Qigong, Tai Chi, where they research the DNA in your body, and there's certain things called telomeres. And basically, the cells in our body are only able to divide and replicate and regrow certain amount of times. And these telomeres are kind of caps on the end that kind of protect the cell. And once those start to fade and become damaged and irreparable, then the cells die and then they no longer replicate. So that's when that can lead to old age. What they found was that the practice of Tai Chi and Qigong actually have a protective effect on these telomere caps on the ends of the cells or the ends of the DNA, so that they're able to proliferate and grow and be stronger for a much longer period of time.
Yeah, so basically, telomeres is as they shrink and your life shortens.
Correct.
It grows back. And I think it's a molecule, telomerase, I think helps, is the part that helps that.
It's the
But,
enzyme, yes.
and they say that I've seen research where 1 minute exercise can increase your life by 7 minutes, but that slowly ends. But the number, it's not just the years that you live. Some
No.
people just had enough, man. They've been so sick, so tired. We had one student had 31 years of back pain to the point where now she's hunched over, couldn't breathe, gone. And she came into a cancer class, and this is what she had. She sent me this letter, which I put in my first book. So these things are possible. We had a
Hmm.
fellow that was, and because you did a case study on published case study in medical journal about the two students that we had, one male, one female. Both had serious backs. One was collapsing 2 to 3 times a week. Just the signal from the brain to the legs would get up. And so what happened? He started doing Qigong. He didn't collapse again. Plus, he got better. And the same with the girl. She was back to work after
Hmm.
that. So, I mean, you remember those, you and me both. So
Yes.
all these things are possible. But more importantly, it's not just the length of life. And we all want to live longer until we get really sick and we just don't want to deal with it anymore. But what you're doing with the Qigong, with the exercises, the joints are all opening up, the blood flow is better, the energy is flowing through the body from a Qigong or Tai Chi standpoint, because basically we're just energy. And the more we look into quantum physics, that we're saying, well, this is a physical body. They say, no, it's just highly compressed chi or energy that makes it seem it's rocks, mountains. It's hard to get your head over this, but they're not real. They're just energy, but it's very compressed. So if you want to live a long life, that's good, but it's the quality of life that's better.
Correct.
So yeah,
So,
go ahead.
so
Yeah.
they've done many studies on people with various conditions, and healthy subjects as well, without any real medical history. And what they found is that the levels of inflammation in the patients are significantly decreased. Now, chronic inflammation is one of the number one leading causes of um, certain medical conditions that can lead to death, like cancer, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, dementia, Alzheimer's. And in a number of people, they find that the inflammation markers traveling throughout the blood have been significantly decreased. And this is after just a short period of time of practicing. But they found that the longer you practice, the more beneficial effects you have. Now, other things that chronic inflammation can lead to are arthritis, joint pain, a number of different things. So, as someone gets older, you mentioned the person with chronic back pain, hunched over, you don't have as much pain, you don't have as much inflammation, you're able to function more, you're able to live more, you're able to enjoy playing with your grandkids or doing other activities as well. So that's a very, very significant part of this. The other part is your posture. Now, the practice of Qigong and Tai Chi, you have to pay attention to your posture. You have to pay attention to the way you're doing the movements. And they've done a number of studies that have tied your posture to your mood and well-being as well. That the more upright, alert your posture is, the better your mood, better your self-esteem, better a number of different areas of life. And a lot of these carry over into, again, I don't want to say getting old, but the for lack of a better way to put it, the people who just kind of accept that this is the way it is, you start to see them, they start to kind of crunch over and hunch down. But the practice of Qigong can help benefit this as well.
Absolutely. And it is postural corrective. So by doing it after a period of time, your posture becomes normal again or better. Let's talk that way.
Correct.
But chronic inflammation, a lot of that is caused by stress. Now,
Yes.
the CDC says that 95% of all illness is caused from stress. When you have stress, chronic inflammation now chronic inflammation is in the cell, Joe. Is that right? It's not like you get hit with a stick. It reddens up and it swells here. That's
Right. Yeah. So some inflammation is normal. I mean, it's a healthy healing response. So if you do get hit in the arm with a stick, you want an inflammatory response because that's going to help the area heal. But what happens in some people is that switch never gets turned off. So that inflammation just stays on constantly. And you mentioned, chronic stress, stress at work, stress over family, stress over finances, stress over anything at all. It just constantly builds and builds and builds, and your body's always in this fight or flight mode, meaning your heart rate's elevated, blood pressure's elevated, blood sugar can be elevated, you're breathing real shallow. But that's kind of the key. What happens is you have a built-in anti-inflammatory reflex or system in your body, and it's probably the best thing out there, better than any medication you can take. And it's through your vagus nerve. So what happens through the practice of deep diaphragmatic breathing, such as that practice in Qigong and Tai Chi, you actually start to turn down that stress and you start to turn it off. Through the practice of diaphragmatic breathing, you stimulate your vagus nerve, which helps turn down that inflammation and ramps up your autonomic nervous system, which is better for health and rest. It lowers your heart rate, lowers your blood pressure, can help control blood sugar and cravings. You're breathing better, your mood is better, you're getting more oxygen to your brain. There's just a number of different things. Your digestion gets better, your skin gets better. Everything starts to get better because the blood flow is going to those areas that need it, such as your organs and your brain, instead of your limbs, that so-called fight or flight mode.
Well, the fight or flight, it's when you're stressed and you're in the sympathetic nervous system. What people don't realize is that the gut, the blood vessels in the gut, will constrict
Hmm.
to send the blood to the legs and to the arms so you're ready to fight or run. And it's a natural system, it's a good system in the body, unless you're in a constant state of stress. Because
Right.
stress is now, we don't even know when we're stressed anymore. It's
No.
so common, but it's most of the day. So when you're in this position, the immune system has to shut down to put the energy into saving your life. So, if you've got diarrhea, for example, it's healing that. It doesn't care. It's going to drop everything to save your life. It'll go back to healing whatever that needs to be healed later on. Now, you
Hmm.
get a little relief when you sleep, but for the most part, the whole system shut down and we're trying to function. And then we get on all this kind of medication and so on, which isn't necessary. One of the things is dry mouth. So now you got a chemical spray for dry mouth. You can clean that in several breaths by breathing properly in
Right.
some sort of way.
Yeah, and I've talked to a number of people who, before they practice Tai Chi and Qigong, they're always sick. Maybe nothing major, but always just little common colds that just kind of nagging, just never seem to get over. And then once they start practicing Qigong and Tai Chi, they can't remember the last time they got cold. Can't, they're seeing their doctor maybe once a year for their checkup, not every couple weeks, couple months because they have a new ailment or malady.
Yeah. Well, it's not, the thing is, I've had people that come to the first class and say, geez, I came in, my back pain's gone.
Hmm.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's gone forever, but just for
No.
those exercises, for that time, it's happened, or the hip, or so on. But
Hmm.
I've seen amazing things over a relatively short period of time. But, if what people are doing with drugs and doctors and all these different things, and it's not working, try something different. Does that not make sense? So that's what we're out. I mean, we have classes, or I have classes every Tuesday and Thursday evening just for this group and people who just want to get better. This gives them hopes that they can come back and look after themselves.
Hmm.
But just to get back to the Qigong and stress, when you do the Qigong, you go from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic, which is rest and growth. It's kind of the same thing when you're sleeping. Go to bed with positive mind before you go to sleep and lie down and you get a nice rest. And growth means that the body is growing inside, from disease or illness or stress or that sort of thing. So if you want to stop the illnesses that come from stress, you just have to learn to breathe and relax. And the deep breathing fixes all that. And that's what we found. So the 24 postures that I teach, as I mentioned before, was developed for treating disease and prolonging life. That's what it seems to be doing. And we have cases upon cases upon cases, and it doesn't matter what it is. Because the body's the body. If something in the energy is out of whack in some area of the body, which might be related to an organ, then that's where the problem is. So the energy, as you get the energy built up, as you get the energy flowing properly to that area or that organ, and it's like all the organs are connected together. One feeds the next, then feeds the next, and so on. And that's how it keeps it healthy. You've heard of organs are starting to shut down, and this is what happens: organs shut down. That's more an advanced disease. But as you keep the organs strong, everything's strong. You don't just work on the liver; you work on them all, and that's what the Qigong does. It's a whole body treatment, and again, stress is one of the main things. So it's a nice meditative thing. It's a nice relaxing, breathing thing. A lot of people go to bed, had the best night they've ever had since they've been on this. It just is what it is. So if there's nothing else available that's going to help, this is good. Tai Chi is good. Qigong is good. So there's always sometimes a debate between, well, which is better? It's not that one is better than the other. It's just that they're different. One was a martial art and uses a lot of movements in a set pattern. So you have to learn, and the pattern doesn't have to be difficult. I teach Tai Chi also, and several major forms, and I like to do it. But for the average person, and for myself, from a healing standpoint, I want to stand. I want to do the energy movements, the energy cultivation, the qigong and stretching and so on. I can do the qigong later, and I find that works. It's simpler for most people. And it's very dramatic. So, Joe, back to you.
Thanks. Yeah, I would say comparing the two, Qigong and Tai Chi, it's certainly easier to learn the Qigong because you're doing certain movements, but you're doing repetitively. You might do one movement 8 or 10 times in a row, and then move on to the next movement 8 or 10 times in a row. With the Tai Chi, you're learning more of a routine, so you have to link certain movements together. So I've talked to some people who have been kind of frustrated with trying to learn Tai Chi because you're trying to learn the movements, learning how and when to breathe, trying to follow other people. And, in the beginning, it can be a little frustrating. Where with Qigong, from what I found, is people get almost like an immediate um, benefit from it. You either, you mentioned the person about back pain, after one class, the back pain was gone. The person you mentioned before who was collapsing 2 or 3 times a week, after the first class, he didn't collapse at all, from what I remember.
That's right.
Yeah, just a number of people who come in and say, wow, that was, you feel amazing. You feel more upright. You feel looser. You feel more energized. Better night's sleep. In fact, there was another study that just came out a few days ago saying that Tai Chi and Qigong, compared to other exercises, improve sleep the best um, over other ones. So yeah, it's very, very beneficial. Now, there were some papers written maybe about 10 or 12 years ago that compared Tai Chi and Qigong together from a research scientific standpoint. And what they found was that during a lot of the research papers that are published, the authors may say that they're practicing Tai Chi. So if you looked on PubMed or Google Scholar or wherever, you're going to get a lot more papers out there that say, or for Tai Chi than you will Qigong. Okay. A couple reasons for that. One, with Tai Chi, there's only about five major styles. To practice or to research. With Qigong, there can be over 3,000 different styles to practice. And yes, some are more popular than others, but it's harder to kind of generalize results with so many different styles out there. But the authors of some of these papers, Roger Yankee was one of the major ones. He said that for all intents and purposes, look at Qigong and Tai Chi the same as far as the benefits you'll get. What a lot of authors were saying in their papers was that they were practicing Tai Chi, but when you actually read what they were doing, if it was published, they were actually practicing the Tai Chi movements, but in a Qigong fashion. So you may be doing a Tai Chi movement 8 or 10 times in a row, and then another Tai Chi movement 8 or 10 times in a row, without physically practicing the routine or form. So I know there's some arguments about that. Some people say no, you should just take Qigong as Qigong and Tai Chi as Tai Chi. But when you look at the research studies, most of them, even though they say they're practicing Tai Chi, they're practicing it in a Qigong fashion. So a lot of the results can be generalized to both because you're doing the same breathing, you're doing the same general movements, and you do get the same general benefits.
Well, most studies are only what, 12 weeks? Anyway, from 6 weeks to 12?
About 6 to 12 weeks, and then you may have a 3 month follow up.
Hmm.
So
What about some of the cognitive things like Alzheimer's, dementia, and ALS, I believe was talked about in research?
yes, there hasn't been too much research on ALS as of yet. Most of the research that's been done with people with cognitive impairments are what's called mild cognitive impairment, which is kind of they equate to normal aging. Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's disease, because there is a cognitive component to that. Um, but what they found in standardized testing was that people who are affected with these conditions, their memory, their thinking, their minds do actually improve with the practice of Tai Chi and Qigong. Um, Now, interestingly enough, too, what they found was that their caregivers actually felt a lot better practicing Tai Chi and Qigong too, because many of them feel stressed and burned out, and because a lot of their care and time is dedicated towards their loved one. But what they found was that when they practiced it with them, their sleep improved, their stress improved, their overall aches and pains improved, their quality of life improved. So it kind of goes both ways for both the person affected with the condition and their caregivers as well.
And I've got experience with that. I've been teaching an Alzheimer's class for 12
Mm,
years and plus. So they're online now, and they come in twice a week, 2 afternoons a week, and it's the same people and new people come all the time because they just like it. And a lot of them are caregivers. Some
hmm
of them have Alzheimer's, and they tell me that really slows the onset of it.
hmm
So it, it, they just love coming on. They love doing the Tai Chi. They look forward to it. Matter of
hmm
fact, I get upset if I have to cancel a class, which is very rare. But then you get into joints like knees and ankles and so on. So cartilage. I want to talk about cartilage and
Sure.
compression.
Depending on where the cartilage is in the joint that it's in, cartilage likes slow compressive forces. Kind of helps massage the joint a little bit. Now, the problem is once cartilage is gone, it doesn't grow back. But what cartilage does tend to do as people get older is it dries out a little bit. So slow compressive movements like that in Tai Chi and Qigong help kind of massage the joint, help re-lubricate the joints, keep them healthy, keep them active. I mean, I've talked to a number of people who had various joints become stiff or arthritic or not move so well or pain, and just through the simple practice of certain movements in qigong and tai chi, they become better. Their joints become healthier. They're moving better. They're no longer using canes or walkers, or some of them have been able to cut down on pain medication as well. They've Some of them have reported feeling more youthful just through the exercises.
Well, we've got, I, I think you know of him, and we call him Papa Joe because that's
Mhm.
what he's referred to in the family. And 89 years old, and he suffered from sciatic pain. Wouldn't stop up all the time. He finally got depressed. He just didn't really want to hang around much. So his nephew got him up into the Qigong. And here's, we put his testimony on. We took a big 89 years old. Now he lived to 94. He was back gardening again. He was pain free.
Yeah, I met a woman once at a conference. She was a nun actually, and she was pretty much confined to a wheelchair because of arthritis throughout her body. And she tried everything. She tried surgeries, physical therapy, chiropractors, massage therapy, a number of things, and nothing would help her. Finally, she decided to try. I think they had a Tai Chi instructor, a Qigong instructor come into the convent where she was staying. And at first, she couldn't stand up or do anything. She just had to do the movements in her chair. And after not long afterwards, she was able to stand up and hold onto the back of her wheelchair to do the exercises. And then not long after that, she's able to start taking some steps with a walker. And then finally, I can't remember how long it took, but it was less than a year. She was able to get back to dancing again. I mean, just an incredible story. And I think a lot of it is not in the beginning, not so much the movements, but the diaphragmatic breathing, because what that does is it helps reset your nervous system. It kicks on your autonomic nervous system. So you start to tone down all of the inflammation in your body, which, if you tone down the inflammation, you tone down the pain. You start to feel better, your confidence feels better, and then you start to move better.
Well, most people breathe very shallow. It's like 12 to 16 times, is it, per
I
minute?
believe so.
Yeah. Well, we're doing like 3, 4
Hmm
times per minute, slow and deep, because the diaphragm, is that it goes down and pushes. It's also a visceral massage. And
Yes,
so when you're pushing it down, it brings the oxygen right down to the bottom and slowly out. So it's absorbing more oxygen. But I want to touch back on the cartilage for a bit.
hmm
Now, am I correct when I say, because I understand that as you do slow compression, like say you're doing knee bends, very
hmm
slow, up, down, the compression actually eliminates waste in the cartilage because it's
correct.
organic. And then as you release, it sucks in nutrition. So
Correct. It's like a sponge or improving
yeah,
circulation.
woo.
Yep, you got
I was
it.
pretty sure I
Now,
landed.
you just have to be careful because some of the movements, if you do have cartilage tears or, arthritic joints, you don't have to go full motion all at once. Just do what's comfortable. And then what will happen with time is that, let's say you're only able to move a tiny little bit. With time, you will be able to go further. Your body just has to trust it again. What happens in painful conditions is that your body's nervous system does not like pain. It does not like to hurt. So what will happen is it will tighten up and stiffen up and oftentimes prevents you from getting to those painful ranges of motion or painful points in your body, more so to protect you. But then as you start to do it gradually and things start to get better, your body kind of reflexively lets its guard down. And it's like, hey, you know what? This isn't so bad. So that's why you're able to move more. You're not just necessarily changing your flexibility or the available range of motion in your muscles or joints. You're changing your nervous system. You're helping that relax.
Cool. Now,
Hmm.
what about the spine,
Yes.
the fluid,
Hmm.
because what we do, there's the cranial sacral pump, or
Correct.
for them that happens, and talk about that.
All right. So cranial sacral pump, you have fluid that goes pretty much around your brain, all the way through your spinal cord, down to the bottom near your buttocks. And that cerebral spinal fluid also helps remove waste products, kind of keeps bad things out from your brain from getting infections and like meningitis and things like that in your brain and spinal cord. So it doesn't have its own pump, such as like the heart for your blood. So it relies a lot on movements, breathing, and gravity. And you mentioned before, if you're breathing real shallow, that's not a really effective pump. If you're not really moving or moving as well as you can, that's not really an effective pump. So by doing these gentle Qigong exercises, you're able to get more efficient movement throughout your body in a pain-free way. Your diaphragmatic breathing is more effective, more efficient, so you're able to help circulate that fluid better, and your posture is better. So you're getting a lot of those kinks that develop as some people get older around your spinal cord and your spine. You're helping prevent those or improve those, so you're able to get more fluid around it as well. And
And,
then, oh, go ahead.
talk about forward head movement also, to how that corrects somewhat.
Yeah, so kind of same thing. As people get older, their head starts to move forward. It throws your balance off. It throws kinks into your spinal cord, and can prevent or inhibit some of that fluid moving around or circulating. It's bad for posture. You tend not to breathe as well because your head is collapsing over the top of your ribs, which is preventing your lungs from fully inflating. So by just doing the gentle motions and becoming more aware of your posture and gradually improving it and performing these exercises, you're able to improve your posture as well.
And it's the same with the joints, like the shoulder joints, the knee joints, the ankle joints, the toes, all the articular surfaces, even the SI joint, which is covered in what we do in a significant way. So
Mhm.
all these in flexibility, I mean, as we get older, we start losing our flexibility unless we do something about it.
Mhm.
Now, there's some that do, but the majority don't. So when it comes to reaching, they can put themselves in danger because they haven't got full extending my arm. It's like they more have to lean and the arm's not extended to pick something up, which can put them in danger.
Yeah, and what happens too, if you do develop faulty postures over time, and you do start to have that forward head or rounded shoulders, you're putting abnormal stresses on the joint so that it does cause more pain, more weakness. It can lead to further decreases in motion in other areas of your body, where if your posture is more upright, you eliminate all the undue stress on the joint, so you don't get a lot of that undue wear and tear that doesn't necessarily have to happen. So there's a lot less stress and strain on the joints, so they stay happier and healthier, and you are able to reach and move and do more and participate more.
And even if you're aging, you can still build muscle.
Yes,
And
you can.
oh, that's just and like one time I hurt my leg, and a fellow said to me, he says, "Well, I guess you're just getting old." Wait a minute, this leg is the same as age as this leg, and it's fine.
Mhm.
So you can build the muscle. It's not, you don't accept it.
No,
Unless you accept that, I'm just getting old and my
I,
muscles are getting weaker.
I think that's the problem is people start to accept it. There's a number of studies out there that show exercises can help improve strength, range of motion, cognitive abilities, posture, balance, everything. There's no age limit on them.
And we cover it all.
Yes.
we do, we do, as you know, you know the postures as well as I do.
Mhm.
So then again, you have the energy part because we go back and forth. So chi. Now, chi is not in our lexicon. It's not part of our vocabulary at all. So it seems kind of weird. So when you say qigong or tai chi is a little more known. Pardon me. It's kind of like yoga. Yoga is well known all over the place. It's been around since the 60s. But Qigong is a healing modality because Qigong was basically based in Chinese medicine. That's what it was. They developed it later as a martial art from Iron Shirt, Qigong, and that kind of thing to build the physique of the body. But it was used to treat something. And what was interesting, I want to make this point, back in the day, that you paid the doctor to keep you healthy. You got sick, he didn't get paid. Can you imagine? But they had a deal. And the deal was basically this. You come and see me once a month. I'll take you on as a patient, but you come and see me once a month so I can check things out. So if I spot something that's coming, then I may put you on a herb. I may put you on, do a little acupuncture, and I'm going to give you some Qigong exercise to do. If you don't do those exercises, don't come back to see me. Because if you don't do these exercises, chances are you're going to be sick. And if you get sick, my reputation goes down the toilet. So this is the contract that we have. I can fire the patient. But they understood the body as not physical things, as everything's connected, everything is energy. So they knew the energy would go through. There's different frequencies and quality of energy that goes in through the muscles, through the fascia. Oh, I want to talk about fascia also, Joe, in a minute. But it goes through the organs itself, all the way to the brain. Everything's function. We're an electromagnetic, so to speak, field. And they understand that the energy is good and balanced, is of a positive nature. I mean, in kind and quality, that this would improve the health. If you've got a headache, and an interesting thing, just to sidestep, what Chinese medicine doctors generally do. When you go in, you can have 12 people going in with a stomach disorder. If you go to an allopathic doctor, chances are you're going to get the same thing. Oh, stomach issue, take this, take this, take this, same prescription. But if you're going to a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, he's going to take a look at the color of your skin, the tongue. What's the tongue look like? That book's just on the color and texture of the tongue. What's your demeanor? Are you like this? You're like this. And they put it all together, and then you're going to get a different remedy because all these things affect the physical body. So just to go back, Joe, and what was I talking? What did I come up? I wanted to talk about fascia.
Fascia.
Do the fascia.
Yes. So, fascia is an interesting thing. They really don't know much about it still. So, fascia is this like it's kind of like the sticky spiderweb substance in your body. It's everywhere. It keeps all of your muscles together in compartments. It separates your organs. It's kind of like this protective sheath that's kind of everywhere. And when they used to do gross anatomy dissections, they kind of thought it was just this miscellaneous stuff that didn't really matter. So what they did was they cut it all out and kind of discarded it. Um, there were some people, probably in the late 70s and 80s, that thought it was some value to it, but they didn't really know what it was. So fast forward about, well, not even that long ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, if that. Um, they found that when they looked at it under special microscopes, that the fascia, what they thought was this kind of like just dry, sticky, just benign substance that they were taking out of the body. When they compressed it, they actually found it acted more like fluid-filled canals. And they started researching it more. And this fascia, again, is everywhere throughout your body. So there are some studies out there now that say that the fascia is kind of like the western conduit for the eastern meridians. And talk about acupuncture, acupressure, where they get the acupressure points on the body and they insert needles to get desired effects. what they think now is that these the fascia may actually be the physical substance for these meridians. But what they also found was that kind of everything George has been saying, that a problem in one part of your body can lead to a problem in another part of your body, and everything's connected. Where our body doesn't function in silos; it's everything works together as a team, and you can have this fascia get kind of scarred down and adhered and stuck in one part of your body, like let's say my right shoulder, and that can cause a problem in my left knee just because of the way my right shoulder is not moving or moving too much. It can cause a problem elsewhere in my body. Um, There've been studies and case reports about people who have surgery, and let's say gallbladder surgery, not so much the laparoscopic surgery where they go in through the tiny little holes now, but where they used to cut people open and do scars. What happened was that disrupted all of the fascia in that area, and you ended up with a whole bunch of pain in other areas of your body just from that. Some of the other newer studies that are coming out are showing that your fascia is very highly innervated by your sympathetic nervous system. So think about it. If you're all super stressed out and you're just really ramped up all the time, that's going to make your fascia kind of constrict and restricted and can cause widespread pain everywhere. Other studies are coming out based on the low back, saying that the fascia in that area is extremely thick, like way thicker than anywhere else in the body, and it's also highly innervated with a bunch of nerves. So what they think is happening is that people with back pain, chronic back pain, you go to the doctor, you might get an MRI, it might say that you have a bulging disc. Doctor may do surgery. Surgery may not work. You might still have all this pain and problems. What they're finding is that a lot of these, what are called non-specific low back pain or low back pain for no um, diagnosable reason, they can't really find any reason for it, could be an inflammation or a restriction in the fascia in your low back. And what they've done through various therapies, Qigong, Tai Chi, a lot of the studies are showing that the practice of Tai Chi and Qigong can help improve pain complaints, quality of life, a number of different things in patients with quote unquote non-specific low back pain. And
And
they think it's all attributed to the fascia.
well, we get that all the time. People
Hmm.
come in with back pain, and like I say, in one class will be gone, and over a short period of time, it goes away.
Yep.
But if they stop doing it down the road, you got about a 33 months, pardon me, from the time if you're doing Qigong on a
Mhm.
regular basis, because you're going to get healthier. I mean, I don't even have to convince you. You just have to
No.
convince yourself, just do it. But anyway, if you stop doing it, it takes 3 months. It starts like this. The benefits slide slowly. And after about 3 months, you can be right back to where you were. So this is not an activity. An
No.
activity is bowling is an activity. Pickleball is an activity. Not that they're bad. This is a lifestyle. It's something, and it doesn't. I mean, you don't have to spend hours on it. I mean, I do Qigong a couple hours at least every day because I do it when I teach. I just like it that much, and there's a benefit to that too. But anyway, all these things, and again, the lymphatic system, Joe. Again, it doesn't have a pump, so you
No. Oh, thanks. So yeah, the lymphatic system, as George said, it also does not have a pump, like your blood flowing through your body. So the lymphatic system helps remove all of the waste products from your cells in your body, and you have a couple major centers where there's more of them, they're called plexuses. One's in your armpit, one's in your groin, and you have one right around your solar plexus. And again, just as with the cranial sacral pump, proper posture, proper breathing, and movement all help improve this circulation to help get the waste products out of your body and keep the cells healthy.
Yeah. And the exercises are simple. Like
Hmm.
for most of them, anybody can do them. I have people in their 90s that do the exercise. Now, they use the back of a chair just for a little support, sometimes on a wall for a little support, but they're doing them. I got videos of this. I mean, it's just amazing to see. But all these functions in the body are all connected. the heart to the lungs to this to the kidneys and to the adrenal system, the fascia, everything. So when you do an exercise, you want to do them. There's certain exercises that focus more on some parts of the body, and then so you get a physical response, and you also get an energetic response. And there's Qigong just for energetics. Also, I teach where it's just building up this energy on the inside. And here's the strange thing for you: we talk about Qigong, we talk about Qi, we talk about this, and so far it's still a theory. And the reason being, they can't measure it yet. So they're getting close. But until they can measure it, the medical system, it's just a theory. But people just get better, significantly better. But the doctors don't know, well, what the hell did you do? So that's the way that is. So, we could go on for, I don't want to hold everybody, we're going on for 3/4 of an hour right now, but I wanted to leave some time open for a Q&A. If anybody has any questions they'd like to ask, Joe or myself, by all means, chime in. You can put it in the chat, and we'll look at it. Here's your chance to ask everything you like.
George,
Sir.
Where are some places that a layperson like me can go to get some information on the lymphatic system, get information on the craniosacral pump, some of these different systems, how they work, and connect that to the benefits of Qigong on it?
Absolutely, we can do that right now. Joe, you want to do it, or you want me to do it, or we'll both do it?
I'm trying to think. Well, I mean, if you want basic information about the systems, you could just type it into your internet search browser, and you'll get the Western medical science about those systems. I mean, we discussed the various benefits of the systems here. I can send you different information that I have based on the systems and how they work from a Eastern Qigong Tai Chi standpoint, if you'd like.
That would be great.
Okay.
I would appreciate that.
We aim to please.
Yes.
But just to add to that, the basic cranial sacral pump, because it deals with the cranium and the sacrum. And what happens is, as you rise, it's like your chin may be like this, and then you're going in and out. So it's coordinated like this, and that helps the pump. The breathing itself is a pressurized system. That's also a pump. So if you're breathing shallow, you're not getting that same removal of the waste through the spinal fluid and so on. So by doing deep diaphragmatic breathing, again, that makes that more efficient. Research studies documenting the benefits of Tai Chi Qigong. Joe, how many studies do you think they got now? 1,000, 2,000?
Oh, I looked it up not too long ago. I can't, but there's thousands. The first earliest study was done on balance, ironically, in probably the late 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Since that time, the studies have been going up significantly every single year, to probably a couple hundred research studies every single year, not including case studies and reviews. Now, the reviews are studies of studies. So it's not someone else doing another study with subjects. It's a study that's been done on, they might take 10 different papers on balance and falls and kind of pool the results and try to get meta-analysis, try to pool the results and see, the benefits. But yeah, there's got to be thousands right now.
Well, we got a couple out there ourselves published.
Yes.
Dr. Klein as well. So, yeah, there's all kinds of them, but it's going on different things. I mean, different parts of the body, different illnesses, even cancer, even arthritis, and they're getting results on these. And the research is out there. And if you ever need any, just let us know and we'll get you a copy of it. Because, and then in addition to all this, then you have to understand or the mind part of this. So it's like a moving meditation. That's what Harvard calls it. Actually, it's the Brigham Young part of Harvard, I believe it was. It's the women's part of Harvard.
Yeah, Brigham Women's.
Yeah. So they actually coined this. This goes back, 10 years ago. They called Tai Chi and Qigong medication in motion. So it calms the mind. When you can calm the mind, you're not focused on stress because we're thinking all the time. All these thoughts are coming in. And Qigong is an opportunity to just, you can even close your eyes and breathe and move slowly and so on and focus within instead of without. That helps you calm down. And then there's the mental thing that happens. With calmness, when you start doing this thing, you get this sense of calm, then stress doesn't affect you as much anymore, and you can think clear, and you can be more positive.
Yeah, yeah. There's actually several studies regarding Tai Chi and Qigong where they actually did functional MRIs of the brain, and what they found was that your brain changes based on the practice of Qigong and Tai Chi. And to water this down greatly, areas that are responsible for more positive things like positive emotions, positive mental activities, positive everything that has to do with your brain, those areas actually become more dense and grow. So what they found was that there's more connections being wired to help improve those things. And what they found, interestingly enough, is that areas that are responsible for negative things like fear, anxiety, addictions, a number of things tied to negative behaviors or aspects, those areas actually shrink and start to atrophy. They did a study in, I believe it was in Boston somewhere, and they took college students who had no meditation experience whatsoever, and they had to meditate for, I believe, 8 weeks, very similar to what Qigong does. And what they found was that the amygdala in your brain, which is about a pea-sized part of your brain right behind your nose, is very responsible for anxiety, fear, those types of things. That area actually shrunk, and these are people who had no meditation experience whatsoever, and they found that through various questionnaires also that their fear responses, their anxiety regarding tests and grades and everything else significantly decreased. Looking at a question in the chat from Jim. I mean, if you can help narrow that down a little bit, that would be great. I mean, because do you have any specific areas you're interested in as far as the most important research studies? I know the VA, probably a couple of years ago, they put out a paper that discussed all of the areas where Qigong and Tai Chi was being studied. I think they called it a research map or something along those lines. And what they did was they showed that, okay, these areas have weak evidence, these areas have no evidence, these areas have really strong evidence. So that research map is out there through the VA. I can get that and send it to everyone. Okay, dementia is a big interest. Yeah, I can get you some of those for dementia. And then there's a few papers out that are just in general the health benefits of Tai Chi and Qigong. Just basically saying, hey, it shows that it helps with this, and it shows it may or may not help with this. But in any event, in every study you read, in the conclusions at the end, it'll say more research is needed. More research is needed. So,
Yeah, and by the way, just to back up a little bit to the amygdala, then you got the hippocampus.
Mhm.
So the hippocampus is to your parasympathetic nervous system, and sympathetic nervous system is your amygdala. Now, as you go relax, do Qigong, the amygdala become less stressed. The amygdala shrinks, like Joe says, but the hippocampus actually grows. And it's measurable. These are not big organs, but it makes a big difference. So
and that helps with learning and memory.
absolutely. I mean, there's no part of the body that Qigong and Tai Chi misses. Unless you get some simple Qigong, and sorry to say, but a lot of people are making up their own stuff right now, without the background to understand it. But nonetheless, people still get some benefits because you're moving. But every part of the body is impacted. Some things take a little longer. Some things, you know, I had one of my students had a brain tumor at the size of a tangerine orange. And by the way, this, we online, this professor, Penelope J. Klein, professor emeritus, she actually, because of her cancer experience, and at a point, I have it on video, I showed it the other night class, she talks about her cancer. Said she had floaters, not clumpers, which means that there's these little tumors floating all through her body. And at any time, they could pierce the pericardium, and that would be the end of it. And she talks about how she was pronounced a number of months later as no evidence of disease. And then she decided to do an actual 34-minute little documentary interviewing some of my students and their benefits from it. And one of those girls, again, she had a tumor the size of a tangerine orange. The doctors gave her 5 years to live. She lived 10. And she was doing the Qigong with her father all the time. And what happened was, she started to slow down and didn't want to do it anymore and thought everything was okay. 5 extra years. Quality life. Is that worth it? I mean, that's not for me to say, that's for you to decide, but everything is here. And if certain things aren't working, even if you're going through traditional treatments, do the Qigong. It improves that also. And it's really simple. So any other questions? Any way we can help? Okay.
Yes, George, are you going to be offering your cancer classes again?
Well, I'm thinking about it, and I taught it for 20 years total, 18 at West Point Niagara with the cancer place, and I did it for 2 years in my school, but we ran it for like 9 months, and then I never had the promotion, and I think the thing was I didn't charge. I thought it would be free because there's so many people that have such a devastating life with cancer where we're able to give them hope. And they said, I'm feeling better. I'm sitting up now. The doctor says, I just had one recently that I'm working with. And he says, tumors are shrinking. The doctor's really impressed. So keep up the Qigong, and I'm keeping them positive and working. So, I mean, it just works. So to answer that question directly, I don't know. I'm open to it. I think it's really, really important. I see there's people that don't believe in Qigong. I've seen where they'll go in and they'll get just a diagnosis. Oh, I felt fine. I just had a diagnosis. And within a month, they're doing radical surgery and chemotherapy just to be safe. Well, maybe there's just another way. And you can do something for a little while and follow along. Prostate cancer. I've got my book, my first book. Some of these people sent their letters in, so yeah, I'd love to do it again. But there's just for some reason there doesn't seem to be a lot of desire for it, oddly enough. But anyway,
okay, I'll keep my eye out.
you do that.
I would love to see you do it.
Yeah,
I'm always preaching to people about it. Yeah.
good. Thank you. But here's the thing: it's the same Qigong.
Yes. Yeah.
So when I teach the Alzheimer's class, I use the 24 posture Qigong. When I teach cancer, I did 24 posture Qigong. When I do Alzheimer's, anything, 24 posture Qigong, because it's a whole body. And whatever the problem is, so people who have an issue with cancer or arthritis or dementia or whatever. So I'm doing the same exercise because they all affect the body, but it's going to affect the part that they're dealing with the most because that's where there's an issue. And the Qigong and the healing and the energy tries to fix that issue. So there you have it. Anybody else got a question? Did you enjoy today?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Dan and everybody else. Well, thanks for the thumbs up, Bill. That's great. I got the choir here today. So the choir. So like I've been told, I preach to the choir. Well, anyway, I guess that's thanks, Nanette. Thank you, the lovely heart, and everybody sending all these lovely things. So I guess so Joe, anything you want to say to wrap up?
No, I mean, if anyone has any questions on anything specific or, things you like, things you don't, please just let George know, and we'll try to get everything back out to people.
Yeah, we're here to help. It's our service, you know, and that's just what we do. I hate to see people suffer with anything, and it breaks my heart because I talk to them, and you know they're not walking right, they're leaning over, and they fell and hurt themselves, and there's just no way they will do it. But it's not my issue. I just feel bad for anybody who's suffering from anything when there's really no need of it. So for that, I'm going to thank everybody for coming. I told you all how much you love your day, and you know what that is. And I hope again see you soon. If at some point in time in the future, Joe and I'll do this again. This is just an open line, free flow, give you some basic ideas and an opportunity for questions and answers. So thanks so much, everybody. I really enjoyed it. And what do they say online, Joe? I'm an older fella. Smash that like button and subscribe and set a bell and do all these different things. I don't know. Anyway, tell us you like us. So the website. Yes, the website is finally up. We switched from one provider to another provider, and so we just finished it. So the website now is villageofhealingandwellness.com, not the village yet, but that will be up soon. Or see a whole new look for somebody who hasn't been there, and we're still working on it, but a lot of changes. It looks really good. So with that, I'll say thank you so much and good night. And if you want to send us, make a comment, that'd be lovely. Subscribe, that's great too. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
You're the best, buddy.
You're the best.
Talk